Something strange is happening to human attention. People everywhere are reporting the same experience. They feel distracted, restless, unable to focus. Reading a book feels difficult. Working deeply feels almost impossible. Even watching a movie without checking your phone can feel challenging. And many people assume something is wrong with them. They think they lack discipline. They think they are lazy. They think their brain is somehow broken. But what if the real problem isn't you? What if modern world has quietly created an environment that the human brain was never designed to handle? In this video, we'll explore how modern life is quietly destroying our attention and why so many people feel overwhelmed without fully understanding why. For almost all of human history, the human brain lived in a very different environment. Life was slower, stimulation was limited. A walk through nature, a conversation with another person, working with your hands, watching a fire burn at night. Moments of silence were normal. In fact, silence was the default. But today we live in a completely different environment. Our attention is constantly being pulled in different directions. Notifications, social media, short videos, endless news, music always playing, messages arriving every few minutes. Even when we are alone, our minds are rarely quiet. At any moment we can reach into our pocket and access an endless stream of new information and stimulation. And while this technology is incredibly powerful, it has created an environment that the human brain never evolved for. To understand why this matters, we need to understand something about the brain. The brain uses a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is often described as the pleasure chemical, but that description is not entirely correct. Dopamine is actually about motivation. It is the system that pushes us to explore, to search, to pursue things that might be rewarding. When our ancestors discovered food, shelter, or something valuable in their environment, dopamine motivated them to move toward it. It helped humans survive. But in the modern world, something unusual has happened. Technology has learned how to trigger this system constantly. The dopamine loop. Every time you scroll, every time you refresh a feed, every time something new appears on your screen, your brain receives a small burst of dopamine. A signal that says, this might be interesting. And because there's always something new waiting, another post, another video, another notification, the brain begins to learn a powerful habit. Keep checking, keep scrolling, keep searching for the next thing. And slowly over time, the brain adapts. When the brain becomes overstimulated. The brain is incredibly adaptable. When it receives high levels of stimulation repeatedly, it begins to adjust its expectations. What once felt exciting becomes normal. And what once felt normal begins to feel boring. This is why many people today experience something strange. Activities that used to feel enjoyable suddenly feel difficult. Reading feels harder. Studying feels exhausting. Working on a meaningful project feels slow. Not because the person has changed, but because their brain has become used to constant stimulation. When the brain expects rapid rewards, slower activities struggle to compete. The attention crisis. This creates a kind of attention crisis. People want to focus. They want to read. They want to work deeply, but the brain keeps pulling them toward faster forms of stimulation. And the more stimulation we consume, the harder it becomes to enjoy slower experiences. It's similar to what happens with loud noise. If you spend hours listening to extremely loud music, quieter sounds start to feel almost silent. In the same way, when the brain becomes used to intense stimulation, normal life begins to feel dull. The hidden consequences. Over time, the environment can create several experiences many people recognize. Difficulty focusing, mental fatigue, restlessness, the feeling of being constantly busy but not truly satisfied. Some people describe it as brain fog. Others feel anxious when nothing stimulating is happening. Even silence can start to feel uncomfortable. But this does not mean the brain is broken. It simply means the brain has adapted to the environment it lives in. The good news. And here's the hopeful part. The brain is not only adaptable to stimulation, it is also adaptable to calm. When stimulation decreases, something interesting begins to happen. The brain slowly becomes sensitive again. Simple activities begin to feel rewarding. Walking becomes enjoyable. Reading becomes easier. Working deeply begins to feel satisfying again. This process takes time, but the brain has an incredible ability to rebalance itself. Slow dopamine. One helpful way to understand this is the difference between fast and slow dopamine. Fast dopamine comes from quick bursts of stimulation, scrolling, constant novelty, rapid entertainment. Slow dopamine comes from deeper activities, learning a skill, exercise, creative work, meaningful conversations, quiet focus. These activities may feel slower at first, but they create a deeper and more stable sense of motivation. Instead of constantly chasing stimulation, the brain begins to enjoy focus again. To conclude, we often assume that modern life is making us happier, but in many ways the modern world is overwhelming the systems our brain evolved in. If you feel distracted, restless, or mentally exhausted, there may be nothing wrong with you. Your brain might simply be living in an environment that is constantly competing for your attention. And when stimulation decreases, something surprising often happens. Clarity slowly returns. Focus becomes possible again. And simple moments begin to feel meaningful. If you're interested in rebuilding focus, calm, and mental clarity in an overstimulated world, that's exactly what this channel explores.